Hello, good evening. My name is Imari Koyasu, and we'd like to show you how a scaled three-story frame deflects with lateral and vertical loads. For our first frame, we have a pinned fixed frame. It's 6" by 12. Here we're going to show how vertical loads affect the frame. For our calculations, we're using 1 pound, but here we're just showing how it deflects with the pin fixed at the center of each floor. Obviously, these strings aren't exactly in the center of each dowel, but here we'll show how the first, all the way at the top, deflects. Again, it's not very stable, but you see how it deflects. We'll show how the second story deflects. Now how the first floor deflects.
I projected 26C. Well, no. What I did first.
Compared to each floor, the top floor has the most deflection. The second one has the second most, and the third one has the least amount of deflection. Panning our way to the visual analysis, we see how the first, I'm referring to first, but it's actually the roof. The roof deflects the most compared to the second and to the first floor. Hello again. This time we're going to show the same frame, but instead we're going to show a lateral load at the top portion of the frame. In this instance, we're going to use 1 pound again for calculation purposes. As you can see, it's the pin fixed frame with 6 inches, 12 inches. And I'll just show how it deflects with 1 pound of force at the top pin. Here we go. You can see a noticeable deflection when pushing at the top joint. In our visual analysis calculations, we did not use force loads at each pin, but in our frame, I can demonstrate. Again, this is the ceiling, the roof. This is the second story, and this is the first floor. As noticed, it was noticed, the top most part of the frame has the most deflection compared to the second and the first floor. When we go to the visual analysis, we demonstrate that significant deflection when we put our pressure here and how it deflects. Going back to our frame, it's a little difficult to show the deflection of the floor itself, but if we had more force applied, the deflection at the floor would show. I don't want to put a lot of force into it. I don't want to break it. It's very tedious, and so I won't show it. But maybe in the second floor, when I push it, you can sort of see it. It's a little difficult with this in the way. Let's look at the second story again, if it's not visible. But that's the lateral deflections at both the ceiling, second, and first floor. For this frame, we're going to demonstrate deflections in lateral and vertical loads and a fixed frame. Let's try pulling all of these at once, but this is the vertical loads, 1 pound again each. Again, they're not 100% right in the middle, but we'll show deflection anyways. So here we go. As you can see, there's slight deformation, but clearly visible. You see how it deforms downwards and how this deforms inwards. It might be hard to see, and maybe because I'm at an angle, I see it differently than you, but definitely see deformation at the sides in each of them. Now we're going to pan over to the visual analysis and demonstrate, well, show how the topmost part of our frame has the most deflection compared to our other frames. The reason I believe that the top has the most deflection is when calculated, it has, even though they're the same loads, it only carries the one load as opposed to these two. But they are supported by fixed ends, the whole fixed ends, as opposed to this one that only has half of the fixed. And that is the fixed frame with vertical loads. Again, this is the fixed frame, and we're going to demonstrate the lateral loads. In our visual analysis, we only did lateral loads at the top portion of the frame. It's demonstrated. We're going to show it here in this frame. It will also demonstrate how deformation appears in both first and second floor. On the roof, here we go. Again, I'm only putting a fair amount of pressure. I don't want to break it, but as you can see, it deforms pretty differently compared to the fixed pinned. There's a definite deflection at the top, obviously, compared to the bottom. If you're staring here at the bottom, you can see how it barely moves compared to the top. Here it is in the second floor. Here's the first floor. It might be hard to see the deflections also as it curves here. From my point of view, I see a small deflection if it's not visible to you. But here, maybe you can see it, I'm not sure. You can see the deflection here as it passes, kind of curves down and then goes up. It's pretty interesting. But that is lateral loads on a fixed frame. This is our third frame. We're going to demonstrate, again, vertical and lateral loads with a pinned. So let's get started. Unless it falls, in which case we can't get started. Alright, so we're pulling. I keep saying that I'm putting 1 pound of floors onto each. I'm not, there's no way I'm putting 1 pound of floors. I'm pulling string. It's for calculation purposes, and here and in visual analysis we have a different number just to exaggerate the deflection, but we just wanted to demonstrate 1 pound of force going in the middle of each floor down. You can see again deflection. And see how it curves here in the corners. Again, just curves. Interesting. If we go to the visual analysis, it's going to pretty much show the same thing that we've been seeing in the past few frames. The top has the most load, carries the most load. Again, compared to the others, because it only has half a fixed as compared to the other floors, the first floor and the second floor. The roof doesn't have the other half that these two have, so they can take more of a load here and here. And this is just shown exaggeratedly. I push down. The fixed ends are glued with hot glue. So I won't be putting 100% of my pressure onto the down, but you can definitely see the deformation of each on everyone. That's vertical loading. We're back at it again with pin. We're going to show lateral loads. So here we go. Putting a lot of force into it to exaggerate how it appears. Let's do the second floor. First floor. Very cool. Let's see. Let's head over to the visual analysis, see what it says. Visual analysis definitely shows this deflection that we've seen in the past demonstrations of the other frames of lateral loads. There's a deformation, this. Now, it might appear different. This is saying that our visual analysis is saying that our pin starts at here. In our case, our frame, the pin starts here. So it kind of doesn't exaggerate it as much as the visual analysis, but it's definitely hard to see. But it deforms either way. It's really cool. And that's lateral load on pin.